Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Large Marge. Today my video is going to be basically like the reason why I have anxiety and the things that I have gone through that are probably some people have gone through way worse things. I'm not even going to try to trivialize that at all, but these are the things that I've had to deal with that make my anxiety heighten because of the things that I have seen. And I swear to goodness, I swear I see the shittiest things all the time to just reinforce my anxiety of like things that are going to happen bad. So anxious people think the worst about every scenario. It literally doesn't matter what you're going to do. I'm thinking about a masked murderer coming in and making our skin into lamp posts or something, lampshades or something. So I think the absolute worst every time we do anything, and it doesn't really matter. But I was going to tell you a couple of quick stories about that. But of course, I always want to start off with a dab because I'm already nervous to start this video. It took me at least a couple of minutes even to hit the record button because that's the way I am. So anyways, here's my handy dandy Stratus over here. I'm going to fire her up, until she's steaming hot fucking fire ass engine red. It usually takes me approximately a minute or two to fire it up. And I really need a new banger bad. This one looks bad. Omi's trip maybe later. Okay. I also need to get my e-nail fixed because, of course, I broke that shit like within a week or two. And I haven't been able to use my e-nail ever since then. And I would really rather use it than fucking using this torch all the time. Also, it's got this distinct smell to it that I can tell the tank's running out. It's got this like I don't know, skunky type of a smell to it when you either turn it on or turn it off. And I know my tank's about to be empty, so e-nail time. Let's get that shit going. All right, I'm gonna put my timer on for this. Hey. And this one is so old that it doesn't do seconds; it only does minutes. So I have to watch it for sure. But oh shit, I haven't even cut my dab. All right, the first story I was going to tell you about. Okay, so I had to make a cheat sheet. Honestly, I had to make a little cheat sheet because I ramble and I don't stay on topic. So I'm going to try to stay on topic of scary stories that have happened to me in my life that make my anxiety bad. So I made a list, and the first one I'm going to talk about is the time that I was really young and almost fell out of a moving car. It's a Sunday, August 9th. It is approximately 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's a Sunday. Kids are all with their dads until like 5. Okay, so on the list, the first story I have to tell you is this time that I tried to write down a bunch of different stories of times that have happened in my life that were really scary and unpredictable and caused me to have the same fears for my children. So once upon a time, I was sitting in like right behind the driver's seat. My mom was driving, and I was sitting in basically the floorboard with my back up against the door. And it was a two-door like uh, Monte Carlo or something like that. It was a really old car. This is in the 80s, okay? When I was young. Maybe it was the 90s when I was young. Anyways, so I was really young, and this car was like a big, huge boat or whatever. And I remember my mom taking a right turn and me leaning up against the door. The door popped open, and I like, you're leaning up against the door. So obviously all of your weight goes backwards. And I'm like looking down at the fucking pavement, like I feel like I'm like an inch from the ground, which I probably was because I was in the back seat of a fucking low car in the floorboard. So I was really close to the ground, and I don't know who saved me. It could have been my brother, my sister, my aunt, my uncle. I don't know who all was in the car. I was really, really young, but I definitely remember like seeing the pavement and being extremely scared, and everybody just being like, "Are you okay? Okay," and then just we went on our way. Like there was no a big extreme like worry, like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Is everything all right? Are you traumatized?" No, they were just like, "Okay, you didn't die, so let's move on with our lives." Um, with that in mind, my brother and sister are 4 and 5 years older than me, and they were born in the late 70s. They didn't wear seatbelts. They didn't go in car seats. My brother told me he used to ride in the back dash. You know, like the older cars have the back dash or whatever. He said he used to go up there because it was nice and warm on the back windshield and sleep up there. So, of course, they weren't concerned about me. I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. Who fucking knows? So, these are reasons why I have anxiety. Cars scare the shit out of me. I don't trust any other driver. That's why I'm extremely aggressive driver. Because I feel like if I can get away from all these other people and navigate the roads before they can, then I'm not worried about their shit. But anyways, okay, so the next incident that I remember that was profound for me was, I'm going to sit down. Was this one time when we were at Creekmore Park in Fort Smith. And our local radio station does a golden bone, golden spaceship, golden whatever over the summer. And they'll give you like clues, really cryptic clues as to where it is. But it's usually always at Creekmore Park. Like we end up always having it at the city park. It always ends up being there. So most of the time, people have been playing for a long time. They just go to Creekmore Park and start looking. So I remember us being at the park, and then the night before, a few nights before, there was some sort of lightning storm. I don't fucking remember, but the tree out there at the park was like one of the limbs was like hanging down like that, and the kids were like popping the limb up and down. So they were like giving people rides on it. So you would like get on the limb like right here, and there would be a bunch of kids on this end of the limb, and they would just be like bouncing it up and down, and you would like kind of fly up and down in the air about 5 or 6 feet. It wasn't very much at all. Okay, so when it was my turn, I went to go grab onto the tree and they were bouncing me or whatever. And then apparently their family, they got called away or whatever. And so as soon as they let go of this branch, I went like slingshotting up into the air. And when it like did the recoil or whatever you want to call it, when it bounced back right here and was going to go back up, at some point I let go or lost my grip or whatever, and I got slammed onto the ground on my back, and I could not breathe. I know you know what that feels like. That sheer terror of not being able to breathe, and you're only a couple of years old. I mean, like I was like 5 or 6 at this time. I was only 5 or 6, looking up at my brother and sister and not being able to breathe, gasping for air and not knowing why I couldn't breathe. So it was really, really scary. So as soon as I was able to breathe, I started bawling. So my brother and sister, of course, they were like, well, don't get us in trouble. Don't get us in trouble. It wasn't our fault. Tell them it was the other kids, which I don't even know if my brother and sister were down there at all. I have no idea, even to this day. But anyway, so we go and see my parents, and they like take me to the Easy Mart and get me like a slushie. And they were like, are you okay? And I was like, crying still. And I was like, no, it hurts really bad and blah, blah, blah. But when I was growing up, another whatever is that my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict until I was about 16 or 17 years old. So he was very fearful of police officers and EMT and 911 and excuse me, all those different things. Excuse me. So he did not want to call the police or anything. So we had to go home. Then my mom had to like get us, ready or whatever. And then we went to the hospital and I got checked out. I ended up not having like anything wrong with me. I do remember wearing a sling for a little while, but I don't remember having an actual broken something. It was like something in my shoulder that was either fractured or out of place or something like that. And I just had to wear one of those little arm slings that are like that for like 6 weeks or something. reasons why I don't let my kids play in trees. Like that tree limb's going to break off and you're going to fall on the ground and break every bone in your body. So they have all these anxieties, and they'll tell me like, oh, we're not going to go play out in the trees because we don't want to break all of our bones. I'm so sorry to my kids. Like they have all of my anxieties because these are the things that I've taught them since they were born. That was the other thing, was that when I was growing up, we weren't allowed to call the cops 911 or anything like that. Like it was just a taboo thing to do because my parents did have narcotics and things at their house, which they are born again Christians. They have none of those things anymore. This was way back in the 80s or whatever. So this was a really, really long time ago that any of those things occurred. So went fast forward to when I became a mom. I was a single mom and I was 20 something years old, and I lived with my parents at the time, and I hadn't gone to college. I didn't have any aspirations or ambitions. I was a server. Like I really just didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on for me. Fortunately, after I got pregnant, or right before I got pregnant, I got promoted to being a manager. So that was really good for me. But um, I remember one night after I had my daughter, I finally moved out of my parents' house and I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment, but my daughter was only 8 or 9 months old. So she was sleeping in the bed with me, and I had a futon as a bed at the time. It was just a futon frame that I kept flat, and I had the futon mattress and then my mattress or whatever. And then she slept on one side and I slept on the other end. And I remember very, very vividly waking up and putting my hand down over to her side of the bed and feeling the most ice cold foot you could ever imagine. So I went directly into fear, mama bear mode. I don't know what you want to call it, but I got so fucking scared that I jumped up, reached over to her because her feet were to my side and her head were down to my feet. I reached over to her, grabbed her face, and like looked at her, and she was like, she looked up at me like I was crazy and was just looking around, and I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm sorry. And like put her back to bed and like just patted her back, and she went back to sleep. I myself was fucking terrified. I had to go to the bathroom. I cried for a little bit, and I was really, really scared that I had just suffocated my daughter. After that incident, I never slept with her again. I never did because I was so fucking terrified that I would actually harm her. And not, you're not, I mean, like people co-sleep and things like that, but I didn't have any of the devices that a lot of people use when they co-sleep, which are like those cone thingies that keep baby in that spot and they don't roll around. They just have like those barriers around them where they can co-sleep and not roll over, and then you don't roll over onto them because there's like these barriers, which they have now. And my daughter was born in the early 2000s, and they really did not have that much shit as far as the co-sleeping or whatever. Now they even have the beds that go on the side of your own bed so that the baby's not actually even sleeping in your bed but is right beside you. No, we did not have those things in the 80s, or sorry, the late 2000s or the early 2000s when I had my daughter. So that heightened my anxiety even more. Like I feel like every level of these experiences make my anxiety just more aware of like all the all the hazards in the world. So I literally see every hazard there could possibly be anywhere around me. I watched the movie It when I was a little kid, and I still won't walk across a grate, or I will be very cautious and be looking straight down at the grate to make sure there's nobody down there, because it definitely still lives in the sewer and will rip your arm off. I'm just, that's facts. Anyways, I have a lot more kind of like horror stories that I've seen. There's at least 3 more, and they're kind of graphic. So I think it's time to take another rip. So there's my setup over there. I'm going to go ahead and take another. Okay. The next few stories I have to tell you are pretty graphic just because they have to do with life and different things that I have seen, and it's really, really scary. Um, Once upon a time, I was driving past a car wreck, and it was like in the middle of Fort Smith. It wasn't on the interstate or anything. It was like in the middle of like I don't know, downtown Fort Smith or whatever. And they didn't really have the whole area blockaded off. They had the traffic stopped on the side that there was an accident, but everybody always slows down to like 12 miles an hour so that they can see a good look at it. And so I was forced to go 12 miles an hour past this horrific car crash where on the ground there was a sheet with a body under it. And my kids were with me, and I am totally freaking out about the whole situation. It just being almost completely blatantly in the public's eye that there was a body out there with a sheet over it, and there were like officers standing around and EMTs and everything else, but it still happened. So I saw that, and that was so horrific for me because it's a car wreck. So in a car wreck, this person probably got ejected and lost their life during, the cars hitting each other. And, that's horrible. That's so horrible. But that was one of the things that we saw. We actually saw somebody on the side of the road with a sheet over them after a car wreck. Why do I not want my 16-year-old to drive by herself? Right there. There you go. Cheers. Hopefully my new rig is on its way. This one came from Omi's in Fort Smith. Fuck me. Gotta get back on the cheat sheet. Hold on a sec. Okay. These two things happened in the last 2 years. Again, car accidents. We live in the River Valley, and above us is where the University of Arkansas and the Razorback football team is. So it's only about a 45-minute drive from my home to the stadium. Lived in Arkansas my whole life. I've always been a Razorback fan. My dad, my brother, I've always been huge fans. My dad gets season tickets to watch the games in Fayetteville. So he gets season tickets for that, and we've always been huge fans. So I'm sure other states have this. We have fan day, and you get to go meet the players, the cheerleaders. We have the soccer players will come out, the volleyball, the track and field. Arkansas is well known for their track and field. And so a lot of different athletes come out, and you get to meet them all. And then there's all sorts of events for the kids and everything else. And you can get the Razorbacks to sign your items, which I've had a few items signed by some pretty well-known Razorbacks that have gone on to professional football. So anyways, we love going. We go every year, or we try to go every year. 2 years ago when we were on our way, we were on the interstate, and the interstate from Fort Smith to Fayetteville is very, very sketchy. Not sketchy, but it's new, and it's got very high bridges, and it has a tunnel that goes through a mountain, and it's very, you have to be just careful on this road. You can't like try to spin out or do anything like that. You have to be really careful. Really big declines and accelerations. Like it goes like. Anyways, I'm over talking this, but anyway, I was in the right lane. There was a car coming up fast on the left lane, And I looked over and I saw the kid that was in the passenger seat, and he looked like he was like 12 years old, and the driver looked like he was like 16 or 17 years old. And they were driving like something like a Jeep Grand Cherokee or something, like something in that realm of cars. So I look over, I see the kid, and then all of a sudden their back right tire just explodes. It explodes, and the driver, goes crazy and hits the median right beside me. I'm driving like right beside this. The vehicle hits the median and then starts rolling in front of me. And I'm just hitting the brakes and being like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, because I'm having to put my car over to the right because it's rolling in front of me as we're going like 70 miles an hour in our lane. So it's rolling in front of us. And I'm freaking out because I'm just like hitting the brakes, trying to slow down. And I know that we're going to have to pull over. I know my boyfriend, he's going to definitely want us to pull over and make sure these people are okay. So I pull over as soon as I can. The car has flipped over into like the little ditch or whatever. And is like, I think it was upside down. Was it upside down?
No, it's not.
When it stopped, it wasn't upside down. It was right side up. It was smoking. The back tire was going. I'm pretty sure it was just like, it wasn't moving, but we were so scared that the vehicle was going to like, explode or something. And so my boyfriend goes running. Like, I'm not even completely stopped. And he's got his door open and running fucking straight for the wreck. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck? My 3 daughters are in the back seat. They're just like, shell shocked as to what they just saw. So I don't remember them saying a whole lot, but I jump out, he jumps out, he runs towards the people that were in the vehicle, and he's just yelling at him to get out. They're in a whole bunch of like bushes that have thorns on them. So I'm not exactly sure what they were, but it was all these thorny bushes, and it was kind of thick underbrush. Like, I don't know what the fuck it was exactly, but it was like a little cushion that the car laid on. So they get out of the car. Other people stop and are assisting with the kids that got out of the car, because it like literally was like a 16-year-old and like a 10 or 12-year-old. And so there's a guy in the back that has his truck pulled over and the tailgate down. And so the kids go over there, because my car is completely full with all of us. We were just driving a Dodge Dart, so we were completely full in my car. So they went over to that vehicle. We gave them some assistance or whatever. And me and my boyfriend were like, there's nothing else we can do here. We just need to go. So we left after that. And I looked it up online, and I never saw anything about it or anything at all. So a couple of weeks ago, we went to Natural Dam because we love going to Natural Dam. It's a place that we go to like probably once or twice a week. It's not super populated. It's a very small, like little swimming hole that a lot of people don't like to go to because it's really only like 3 or 4 foot deep. But that's all I need for my floaty. That's all I need for my floaty. So, and there's a rope swing, and I'm sure you guys have seen that. We go there anywhere from 1 to 2 times a week. So we were there like 3 weeks ago, and I had heard some like ambulances come by, and I was like, okay, whatever, like the fire department is on the end of the entrance to Natural Dam. So I was just thinking, whatever, they're just responding to a regular incident or whatever. Well, about 30 minutes later, we were getting tired and I'm getting irritated, so we decided we're going to leave. So we get all packed up into the car, and I don't even make the kids change at this point, which I always do because I don't want my car stinking up and smelling, which it does now. But we just got in the car and just started driving. Well, when we get to the stop sign that's at the entrance of the Natural Dam where you can go and get back on the highway and go back to the town that you came from, massive wreck. As we're pulling up to the stop sign, there is a helicopter medevacing somebody out, because we're in the middle of the Ozark National Forest at this point in time. There are small towns in here or whatever, but I mean, if somebody's severely injured, it would take an emergency vehicle probably 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get them from that location to a good hospital or whatever, just because of all the things they would have to do. So they called in a helicopter to come pick these people up. The cars were completely mangled. There were a couple of people just like sitting out on the grass, just like sitting out there with their you know, their head in their hands, just trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. And I have no clue. I looked that one up also, and I couldn't find any information on that one either. Like, I don't know if that shit gets reported. Does that shit just not get reported whenever there's like major crashes? Like, I just figured that would be some sort of news rather than whatever the fuck's happening, like local news, but I couldn't find anything about it either. So I'm extremely terrified to let my 16-year-old daughter get a license and drive by herself. I can't express the anxiety that I feel that if she was hit by someone else, how I would fucking beat their ass or something. Like, I would just like freak out or whatever. And then plus, if she gets into a wreck and endangers someone else, I feel like I'm gonna beat her ass because like she knows better than to drive, you know, impaired or any other way or whatever, or let somebody else drive her car. So fucking anxiety out the wazoo. Here's my last scary story, which is a two-part. I've seen this happen before, but this happened the other day. I went to the bank to get my check went through on Friday, so I went to go get cash out of the ATM. And as I'm leaving, I see out of the corner of my left eye this black and white, like it looked like an English bulldog or some type of Doberman breed. It was like a big fat sausage, like running beside me, but he was like just like trotting along, like I don't know, like a weeble wobble. But anyway, so I noticed that dog and I was like, oh shit, that's a really cute dog or whatever. But I lost sight of him. I have no idea where he went. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to go home. So I'm looking at traffic both ways, left and right. And over to my right, I see this dog running, and there's a junior high. Then there's an open field where they do their football practices. And then there's a medical facility. And then there's the main highway, or one of the main interstates. It's called Kelly Highway. Anyway, right there on Kelly Highway, this dog was just running full force, like he had no care in the fucking world. Ran and ran and ran right into a truck. Like the truck, I'm sure, did not see him because he didn't brake at all. He hit the dog in like the side of the head, and then the dog fell down. And then I think that the dog fell down, and then I think the truck hit him again, like in the legs or whatever. And I'm like horrifically staring at this scene like, holy fuck. And this dog, he was about a German Shepherd, something mix, but he was a pretty big breed dog. He jumped up and just ran off like it was, he ran it off. Like at first he was limping a little bit, and then he just full force took off back in the direction that he came from, back towards that field. So I whip my car around as fast as I can to try to get back over to that field. It's only a block away from the bank that I was at. So I whipped around and went the back side of the bank to see if I could get back to where the dog had ran, to see if he like fell down, if he was injured, or if he was still running around there. Because I was at least going to call animal control to assist that animal, because I was really afraid that it got like fucking knocked out. But it jumped up, ran off. I called the animal control and had to leave a message, and I looked over and saw a man with one of those long sticks that has a noose at the end, where you catch an animal with it, and then you like pull the string or whatever, and it tightens the noose so that you can, like, it's basically like a plastic leash is basically what it is, but it has a noose on the end of it so you can grab your animal and, you know, take them away, hopefully safely, without having to like wrestle with a dog and try to get a leash on him or something. So anyway, I saw this man walking down the road with that. And so I notified the police that happened. And I have no idea. I have no idea if it got helped or fixed or anything. Because even if I call back, they're probably just going to be like, yeah, whatever, lady. We don't know what you're talking about. So you wonder, why do I have anxiety? Why am I constantly worried that somebody's going to fall down and break their brains? Why do I constantly think that you're going to go on a trip and get into a massive wreck? Why do I think you're going to get on an airplane that's going to crash in the Alps, and you're going to have to live off of the other survivors? These are the things that go through my head, and I'm not even joking with you. Like, I have like rushing thoughts all the time. And the only thing that I can do is smoke as much weed as I possibly can to slow those thoughts down just a little bit, enough for me to like kind of tune them out and not have to think about all of the things that are going on. Let's not even mention Corona. That's a whole nother video. I'm going to have to stop it there. That's a whole nother fucking video. But anyway, those are reasons why I have anxiety. So if you feel the same way, please click subscribe, hit the notifications, follow me on Instagram at LargeMargeSentYa. So follow me on my Snapchat, Margin Charge. I'll put all that shit down in the bio down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day.